Good morning, everyone. In the previous session of Management of Financial Services, I explained about money market, what does it mean, what are the features of money market, and then I explained various types of money market. And then I explained the instruments of money market. Now you can see there are around 7 instruments of money market, but in the previous session I have only explained about the treasury bills. So these are the 7 money market instruments: treasury bills, commercial bills, call money, commercial paper, certificate of deposit, interbank participation certificate, and repo instruments. So these are the 7 important money market instruments which I am going to discuss. So in the previous session, as I have already said, I explained only about treasury bills. In this session, I am going to explain about commercial bills. In the previous session, I explained about treasury bills, what are the various types of treasury bills. Now here you can see that treasury bills can be divided into 2 categories. First of all, on the basis of nature, that is ordinary bill and ad hoc bills. Ordinary bills means these are issued for the general public, and ad hoc bills are issued only for RBI. See, treasury bills are those promissory notes which are issued by the government, and RBI issues on behalf of the government. So ordinary bills are issued to the general public. Anybody can purchase by participating in the bidding procedure, and ad hoc bills are only issued for RBI. RBI is only institution which has the right to purchase the ad hoc bills, and on behalf while purchasing the ad hoc bills, they have the authority to issue currency notes to the government. So these are the 2 bills classified on the basis of nature. Then on the basis of maturity time period, that it can be further divided into 3 categories: 91 days bills, 182 days bills, and 364 days bills. So this portion I have already discussed and explained in the previous session. In this session, I am going to explain about commercial bills. What does it actually mean? What are the various types of commercial bills? Then I will explain the merits and demerits of commercial bills. So let us begin the session with the commercial bills. So commercial bills are those bills which arise due to the genuine transaction. Now these genuine transaction means credit sales or credit purchase. Suppose an institution purchases goods on basis of credit. So in this case, the seller draws a bill on the buyer, mentioning the amount of the total transaction, the amount money is mentioned in the bill, and a maturity date is also mentioned in the bill. So usually what happens, like I said, when a credit sales take place, or when a person or an institution purchases goods on credit basis, the seller draws a bill on behalf of the buyer. Now buyer has to accept the bill. The amount of money will be mentioned in the bill, and it will be mentioned a particular date, or the maturity period will be also mentioned in the bill. Now here what happens, the buyer accepts the bill who has purchased goods on credit basis and promises to pay the amount of the bill on the maturity date or the due date. So that is the transaction between the buyer and the seller. So whenever there is a credit sales, it leads to the arising of bills of exchange, or we can say commercial bills. So it it arises due to genuine transaction, that is the buying and selling, and that is related to the credit sales. So whenever credit sales takes place, the seller has the opportunity to draw a bill on the buyer. Okay. Now it contains a written order from the creditor to the debtor. Now here it means that the buyer has to pay a certain amount of money to a certain person on a particular date or during a particular time period. That is the written order from the creditor to the debtor. Now you can see the 4th point is mentioned, that it is self-liquidating and negotiable. Now this commercial bill is highly liquid and self-liquidating, which means that at the maturity due date, or on the due date, it can be easily converted into money or cash, because after the due date, the commercial bill will be converted into money, and this can be also converted into money before the due date. Suppose the seller has drawn a bill on a buyer, the seller can take the bill to any discounting house or acceptance house. They can discount the bill and they can get the money immediately, even before the due date, after the bill is given or discounted at a particular rate. So this is self-liquidating, highly liquidating, and it is also negotiable. Negotiable here means that the terms and conditions of the bill can be negotiated, or the negotiation can take place between the buyer and the seller. So the fourth feature of commercial bill is it is highly liquidating, self-liquidating, and negotiable. Now the last point that you are seeing, that it is drawn for a very short time period, 3 months to 6 months. It means the time period of a commercial bill is 3 months or 6 months. It is a highly liquid asset, liquid instrument, and it can be very easily converted into cash. Now because of this short maturity period, it is highly acceptable in the market, and it is also considered as an ideal investment instrument. So these are the certain features, or you can say the meaning of commercial bill. Now let us discuss the definition of commercial bill. Now the definition, or we can say that the definition of bills of exchange can be found in the Negotiable Instrument Act. Section 5 of the Negotiable Instrument Act defines a bill of exchange in the following manner. See, it is an instrument in writing containing an unconditional order signed by the maker directing to pay a certain amount or certain sum of money only to or to the order of a certain person or to the bearer of the instrument. Means whoever is the maker of the bill gives direction to pay a certain amount of money to a certain person or at the order of certain person, whoever bears the bill. So that is the actual definition of bills of exchange, or we can say commercial bill, which is mentioned in the section 5 of Negotiable Instrument Act. So it clearly says that whoever bears the instruments, whoever bears or holds the instrument at the maturity time period, that person or that institution is entitled to get that certain amount of money which is mentioned in the bills of exchange or mentioned in the commercial bill. Now let us discuss the various types of bills. Now the first type of bill, as you can see, it is demand and usance bill. So first bill is the demand bill. Demand bill is also called as sight bill because they are paid immediately when it is presented to the drawee. There is no time period mentioned on the bill. Suppose the drawer draws a bill on a drawee, or a person, like the example I gave, credit sale, buyer and seller. The seller draws a bill on the buyer. So here what happens, whenever the seller presents the bill to the buyer will pay the amount of money. So that's why it is called sight bill. So it does not have a maturity date and it is immediately paid when it is represented to the drawee. Now in this case, in case of commercial bills, the drawee can be banks also. The banks can discount the bill and pay the amount of the money to the drawer of the bill. Now the usance bills. Now usance bills are different from demand bills because they have a maturity time period, and on the due date only the amount of money mentioned on the bill will be paid to the drawer. So here there is a difference between demand and usance bills. Demand bill does not have any maturity, does not have any fixed time period, but usance bill have a maturity time period. It has a fixed due date and it will be only paid after completion of the maturity time period. So whenever bills gets matured, only on that day the bill will be paid to the drawer. The drawee is supposed to pay the amount of money after the maturity of the bill. Okay. Now let us discuss the second bill. Those are second type of bills are clean bills and documented bills. Now let me first explain what is documented bills. Documented bills are those bills which have certain bills attached to it or backed by certain documents are let me explain it again. So documented bills are those bills which have certain documents attached to it. Now these documents can be railway receipts or any other kind of receipts. So those are documented bills. But in case of clean bills, there are no documents attached to the bills. So here is also a difference between clean bills and documented bills. Clean bills do not have any documents attached to it, like any kind of receipt, but documented bills have certain kind of documents or receipts attached to it. Now let us discuss the third type or the third category of bill, inland bill and foreign bills. Now inland bills are those bills which are drawn in India and are also payable within India. But foreign bills are drawn outside India but can be paid within or outside India, depends upon the situation. So inland bills are those which are drawn within India, used within India, and it is also payable within India. But foreign bills can be drawn, foreign bills are drawn outside India but can be payable within India. So it can be payable outside also and within India also. Now let us discuss the fourth type of commercial bill. These are export and import bills. Now export bills are drawn by importers in India. Indian importers draw these kind of export bills on the foreign exporters who are supposed to purchase goods from India. Let me just clear it again. So exports bills are drawn by Indian exporters by foreign importers. Indian exporters means, suppose there is an organization who exports certain kind of material to or goods to importers who are residing or living outside India. So these export bills are drawn by the Indian exporters on those importers who live outside India or who purchase goods from other countries. So that is export bill. Import bills are drawn by foreign exporters on Indian importers who import goods from foreign countries. So that is export and import bills. Now the next type of bill is indigenous bills. Now indigenous bills are very popular among indigenous bankers. Now indigenous bankers are those which provide private loans to certain kind of people, or they fix the interest rate on their own basis. So indigenous bills are basically used and accepted and drawn on certain customs, basis of certain customs which are prevailing in a particular area or prevailing in the country. So these bills are actually drawn by the or very popular among the indigenous banker. And the last point, the last type of bill that we are going to discuss is accommodation bills and supply bills. So what is accommodation bill? Usually the basic nature of commercial bill is that it arises due to genuine transaction, but here accommodation bills do not arise due to genuine transaction. Accommodation bills are between two parties. This is some kind of arrangement to benefit financially both the parties. So two parties enter into an agreement to mutually benefit out of the bill by creating a bill. So that is an accommodation bill. Suppose a person requires a certain amount of money and other person wants to provide the certain amount of money, so this can be helpful to them. So accommodation bill does not arise due to genuine transaction. But now let us discuss supply bill. Now supply bills are drawn by the suppliers who provide certain kinds of goods and services to the government. Now these supply bills can neither be discounted or it does not even have any kind of document. Means in case of documented bills, it is not supported or does not have any kind of documents attached to it. So supply bills are basically drawn by the suppliers who provide goods and certain kind of services to the government. Whereas accommodation bills do not arise due to genuine transaction. They arise because so that it can provide mutual financial benefit to both the parties. It can be discounted on the due date also or before the due date. So these are the types of bills, and what are the features of every type of bill I have already explained. Now I am going to explain the various merits of commercial bills. Now the first merit, as you can see, is liquidity. As you all can know, this commercial bills can be easily discounted in any bank. Money can be recovered at any point of time or even after maturity time period. So this is a highly liquid instrument which can be converted into cash very easily. And another point you can see, it is self-liquidating. Self-liquidating means it can be easily converted into cash. Whenever it is presented to the drawee, the amount can be easily obtained. So these are the first two merits of commercial bills. The third one is certainty of payment. Certainty of payment means whenever a bill is drawn, it comes with the certainty of payment. That means the amount of money involved or the amount of money which the drawee is supposed to pay will be paid after the maturity time period at any cost. So that is the certainty of payment. Or else the drawer can take the bill to any acceptance house or discount house and easily get the bill discounted. So there is a certainty of payment in the commercial bills. The third one is simple legal remedy. Simple legal remedy means even if there are certain chances there won't be any payment, the legal requirements or the legal process is considered to be very easy. So in case, like I said, it has a certainty of payment, but it rarely gets any kind of, it rarely gets dishonored. So even if a certain bill is dishonored, the legal remedy is considered to be very simple. It means that they simply have to note it needs to be noted and protested, and whatever amount of money the drawee is supposed to pay the drawer will be given to the drawer. So the legal remedy is very simple. It does not create any problem for the drawer, and the amount of money will be easily provided to the drawer. Next one is ideal investment. Ideal investment, why it is considered to be an ideal investment? Because the time period involved, the maturity time period involved in commercial bill is very less. Obviously, it is within 1 year because it is a money market instrument, but at the same time, it is also highly liquid. It can be easily converted into cash at any point of time. So that's why with this feature, it is considered to be an ideal form of investment. Whoever wants to invest and get money in a very short time period, get the benefit in the very short time period. Now let us discuss another advantage of or another merit of commercial bills. It has high and quick yield. Yield means the return. The return is very high and it is very quick. Like I said, it has a very short time period within 1 month, 1 year, that is 3 months to 6 months. So easily money can be obtained. The benefit can be obtained within a very short time period. And the money is also considered to be of very high amount. So it provides high and quick yield to the investors, the institutions or the people who want to invest in commercial bills. They get high and quick yield. And the last one is it has a central bank control. It means it is controlled by the central bank. So central bank control here means that the interest rate. Now the central bank has the power and authority to manipulate the money market and make changes in the interest rate. So this is directly under control of the central bank. So whatever interest rate prevail in the commercial bills can be easily changed by the central bank. So these are the merits or advantages of commercial bills. Now let us discuss the demerits or disadvantage of commercial bill. Now the first one is, you can see that absence of bill culture. So what does absence of bill culture mean? It means that even if it is highly liquid, self-liquidating, even it has features of negotiation, it is negotiable, but still people prefer to use different methods like overdraft or any other method instead of using bills of exchange. This bill culture is not very popular within India. They prefer other medium or other instruments, but not the commercial bills. The next one is absence of rediscounting of bills. Okay, so this is the second demerit of commercial bills. So it means that there is an absence of rediscounting of bills between banks. Banks means the banks who need funds and banks who have surplus of fund. And because of this absence of rediscounting, this bill is not very popular in the Indian market, in the Indian money market. Next one is stamp duty. Stamp duty here means a certain amount of duty is in terms of money is imposed on the creation of bill. So that is considered as stamp duty, and because of this duty, people do not prefer to accept this commercial bill. People do not prefer to draw the commercial bills. So this is one of the main reasons why commercial bills are not that popular in Indian market. Second one is, sorry, the next point is absence of secondary market. Okay. Now secondary market here means in secondary market, usually what happens, like in new issue market, when a share is issued for the first time, then again it is sold and purchased in the secondary market. So that type of market that type of market does not exist in commercial bills. Usually what happens, rediscounting or discounting of bill is available, but still it is within it is within certain rules, regulations and restrictions, because of which there is no trading of commercial bills. And because of this feature, it is not that very popular in the Indian market. So because of absence of money market, commercial bills are not very popular, and it is not considered to be even a good source of investment. Next one is difficulty in ascertaining genuine bills. Genuine bills means real bills. It is very difficult to differentiate between genuine bills and those bills which are not very genuine in nature. So they need to understand which bills are genuine and which bills are not genuine. Not genuine bills or non-genuine bills are those accommodation bills. Accommodation bills means accommodation bill means a bill is introduced or did not arise due to the genuine transaction, that is buying and selling. It is arised to benefit both the parties. So here discounting of bill is this kind of feature only is provided to genuine bills which arise due to genuine transactions. So it is very difficult to differentiate between the genuine bills and the accommodation bills. As the accommodation bills are not discounted, it becomes very difficult to differentiate, and that's why it reduces the popularity of commercial bills. Next one is limited foreign bills. This is another disadvantage or demerit of commercial bills. So foreign bills, usually what happens, the money market of India is not that developed. It is still going through a developing phase. It needs a lot of improvement. It needs a lot of changes. But in foreign countries, this money market has already developed. They have introduced many new features, many new elements. So because of that purpose, they can easily draw a bill on any person living in India. But in case of India, Indians cannot draw bills on foreign importers or foreign importers. So that is the main reason, because there is limited foreign bills. Because of lack of development of money market within India, the foreign bills are very limited. So this is one of the basic disadvantage of what we can say commercial bill. As I have said that because of lack of bill culture, absence of bill culture, because of absence of rediscounting of bill, stamp duty, because we cannot even find papers for that particular denomination. These are the disadvantages because of which the money market is still not developed. So because of underdeveloped money market, foreign bills are also not very much popular within India. So because of limited foreign bills, again it reduces the popularity of commercial bills. Now let us discuss the last demerit of commercial bills. It says that banks are shy of rediscounting bills. Usually what happens, because of certain benefits of commercial bills, its high liquidity nature and other elements, what happens, banks also try to hold on the bill till the maturity date. So there is no trading of commercial bills in the secondary market, or we can say because of this trading, there is no secondary market only. So the banks usually want to hold the bills till the maturity date. So there is no movement of or circulation of commercial bills in the market. So because of this reason also, the commercial bills are not very popular in Indian market. So these are the things about commercial bills. What is commercial bills? What is its definition? Different types of commercial bills. Then I have explained the merits and demerits of commercial bill. So this is commercial bills are one type of money market instruments. Now let us discuss the third money market instrument, that is called call money. So as I have already mentioned the call money market, this element comes under the call money market. Okay. So call money can also be called as money at call. Money at call means these are certain financial loans. Suppose a person or an institution has given a call loan or call money to another person or another institution. So whenever the person or the institution who has provided loan asks the person who has taken loan to pay it back, then it is called call money loan or call money. So this is certain financial loan which is paid immediately when asked for. So this is a very short-term financial loan, and the time period of these loans are from 1 day to 14 days. So it has a very short time period, and the interest rate which is charged is called as call loan rate. So obviously if the time period is short, the interest rate may also be very less. So these are the certain features of call money. Now you can see that it is used by the brokers and dealers. Now call money or call loan is taken by brokers or dealers to for their transactions in stock exchange. So as I have already said, call money market or call money does not have any brokers. So these brokers or dealers take call loan for their transactions in the secondary market or stock exchange. Now another feature of call loan is that call money is that it needs to be paid in full. It cannot be repaid in installments. So whenever the lender asks the borrower to pay the money, the amount is to be paid in full amount. The total amount needs to be paid at once. And it does not have any maturity time period, and the amount is paid on full. And it is not like any other term loan which has a fixed rate of interest or certain amount of maturity. So whenever the lender asks the borrowers to pay the money, and they can also, usually what happens, a reminder is given when they are asking to repay the loan. But here the lenders are not supposed to remind the borrower, or they are not supposed to give any kind of notice in advance. So whenever the lender asks to pay the money back, the amount of money needs to be paid back by the borrower. So this is one of the major feature of call money. So like I said, this is used by the brokers and dealers for their transactions in the stock exchange. So this call money is very different from the term loans, because term loans usually have a certain type of maturity, the principal amount and the interest amount. So because the time period of this call money is extremely short, it does not have any kind of we can say principal amount or any interest amount. It simply has a call loan rate. So that is the interest rate which is discussed between the lender and the borrower, and they fix a interest rate to it. So whenever, like I said, whenever these brokers and dealers take a call loan, they usually take it for the transactions in the stock exchange or to maintain a margin balance. Usually what happens on behalf of the customer, when they sell and purchase shares or bonds or whatever, they have to maintain a margin. So in order to do this kind of transaction, they need money, so they ask for call money. Okay, and whenever the lenders or the lending bank ask the brokers to repay the amount of money, they sell the securities of the customer and give the amount of money back to the bank. So this is the call money, and these are the various aspects of call money, how it operates and what are the features of call money. So we can say that it is a highly or we can say highly short. It is a short-term financial loan, and the time period is extremely short, and whatever rate of interest is provided is called call loan rates, and it is usually used by the brokers and the dealers, and it does not have any kind of transaction cost involved in it. So these are the basic features of call money, one of the most important money market instrument. So next I am going to discuss are the merits of call loans or call money. So the first merit, as you all can see that it is mentioned, it can be called back whenever needed. Like I said, the lender do not have to give or send an advance notice to the borrower and wait for the money to be repaid. So whenever the lender or the lending bank wants to get the money back, they will get the money back immediately and in full amount. So that is one of the major advantage of call money. The next one is this is considered to be very safe even if it is not secured. There is a spelling mistake. It is not secured, not nor secured. Okay. So this kind of instruments are not backed by any kind of mortgage or anything. It is not at all secured, but it is still considered to be safe because the lender will get the money at the time whenever he or she or the institution asks the borrower to pay the money back. So in that case, if we understand that feature, in that case, this call money is extremely safe because the amount is paid in full, not in installment basis, not in certain portion of amount basis, but it is paid in full whenever asked for. So that makes it very safe in nature. Now the third one is bank earn high profits. High profit means, first of all, the time period of call money or call loan is very short. So they get the amount of money back very easily and very quickly. And the interest rate is also very high. Interest rate can be also very fluctuating. They can change the interest rate also. And because of those features, bank can easily earn high profits from giving call loans or call money to the brokers or the dealers. Last one is no transaction cost is involved. So here what happens, usually whenever we enter into an agreement or any kind of purchasing or selling takes place, there is a certain transaction cost attached to it. But in case of call loans or call money, there are no transactions. The money will be paid directly to the borrower from the lender without any cost involved. In the same way, when the money is recovered from the borrower does not have to pay or does not have to incur any kind of transaction cost. So because of these features, call money is very useful and to some extent very popular in Indian money market. Now let us discuss the demerits or disadvantages of call money. First of all, different interest rate. Now the rate of interest may be very different. It may be high, it may be low. So that reduces, we can say, the interest in the call loan. Some may charge high loans, high rates of interest. Some may charge very low rate of interest. And because of that, these brokers, dealers who actually get call loan or actually want to have call loan, they lose their interest in it. So the next demerit, as you can see, that it is not evenly developed. Now, in the merits you have seen, in the features you have seen that this call loan is usually or is actually taken by the brokers and dealers who are involved in stock exchange, who purchase shares and sell shares on behalf of their customers and all that. So they needs to be near any kind of stock exchange. So here what happens, this type of loan is very popular in Mumbai, where there is BSE and other areas where there is a proper stock exchange and trading in those stock exchange takes place. So because of this unevenly development of this stock market in India, this kind of loan is not very popular. So it is heavily used in Mumbai, where there is stock exchange, where there are number of brokers and they need money for maintaining the margin balance. But in case of other areas where stock exchange is not that strong, where people are not involved in share market and all. So these kind of loans are not popular in those areas. They have very less number of brokers and they rarely go for call loans. The last one is lack of integration. Integration means because this call loan is comes under call money market, they have to be dependent, or they have to be integrated properly. The call money market need proper integration. So usually what happens in the previous point, like I said, in Mumbai, there will be a large number of brokers and they want to take call loans. But in other areas, because of a lack of investment in stock exchange, there are less number of brokers or they rarely go for call loans. And because of that aspect, because of this lack of integration, this call loan is not very popular. Suppose it needs to be, we can say that the entire India needs to have a call market which is highly integrated. A broker from any part of the country can ask for call loan from any other part of the country. So that will make it more easy and more popular. But in India, still now we don't have that kind of integration of call money market. So because of these reasons, call money are not that popular, are not that used, and not that developed also. So these are the merits and demerits of call money, or we can say call loans. So basically in today's session, I have explained only about two types of instruments, that is commercial bills and money market. So till now I have explained only three money market instruments. Those are treasury bills, commercial bills, and call money. In the next session, I am going to explain about commercial bills, what are the rules and regulation attached to commercial papers, what are the rules and regulation guidelines attached to commercial papers, and I am going to also discuss about certificate of deposits. So that's it for today. In next session, I am going to discuss about other 2 or 3 money market instruments. Okay, then thank you.